language. Editors like consistency, second, third, fourth, fifth, or sixth. Give me a first day. But the Torah says in Genesis chapter 1, there was evening and morning, day one, for a good reason. Because one is different from first. One is absolute. First is comparative. When you say a first day, now put yourself in a mindset going back to here. Not when we know that hopefully we'll be around tomorrow, and there was also a yesterday and there was time before. Not going back to a time where there's a flow of time already, but go back all the way back to a time when there are no other days. And then you can't say a first day. Because to say a first day would mean you already know there's going to be a second day. But on day one, that's it. The text says day one to teach us that there was a creation of time, that time was created, that there was a line here before which there was no time, which is a phenomenal insight in the Torah itself, that time is part of the creation. And then it tells us something else. It tells us how the Bible sees time. The Bible sees time from a very important perspective. The Bible doesn't say there was a first day. By the second day, the Bible could say there was a second day because the second day was second relative to the first day. But on day one, there was no second day. So you could not say a second. But by the next day, it was already relative. So had the Bible been seeing time from, let's say, out here in Sinai somewhere when Moses gets the Bible on Sinai, the book of Genesis, then the Bible would have been looking back in time, and it could have written there was evening, morning, a first day. Had the Bible even been seeing time for these 6 days from Adam, well, by its own statement, there were 6 days. So it would have written there was evening and morning, a first day. This is not me speaking. Now I'm giving commentary from over 1,000 years old. The Bible says there was evening and morning, day one, to tell us that the Bible is seeing these 6 days as a unit from a very special viewpoint, a very special moment in the universe. Any thoughts on what that moment is? Day one, and not a first day. So the Bible is looking forward in time. That's why the text says day one. The Bible looks forward in time and says, wow, what an amazing universe. And it watches it create, and it says, oh, 6-day universe up to here. But you see, we don't have that option. We live in 1998, or in the time of the Bible, or any time after Adam. And we look back in time. We see the unfolding of these days as history. The Bible didn't see it as history. The Bible saw it as ongoing event, on site, real time, like you're sitting right here now. We look back in history, and we say, how old is the universe? Oh, about 15 billion years. That's 10 to the 9th means 9 zeros. 15 years, 15 billion years. And Albert Einstein comes along and says, maybe they're both correct. Maybe they're both correct. The creation is described as in the following way by the ancient commentators. One, Nachmanides, as an example. He says the following. In the beginning, we don't know what predates this, but then from absolute nothing, God creates a tiny speck. Tiny speck. That's a bit bigger than the speck, but if I made it the actual size that's discussed, you wouldn't be able to see it. About a size of a mustard seed, approximately. And that's the entire universe. That's the only there is. It's not a speck in a vacuum. A vacuum is space. That's the entire universe. That's it. And everything is in that universe. But it's not stuff as we know it now, like stones and planets and stars. It's just energy. All that we have in here is energy. And as this speck expands out, and the universe expands, the energy changes into matter. And with the energy changes into matter, the clock of the Bible begins. See, the ancient commentary differentiates between the creation of time and the beginning of the clock. There's a minuscule moment, a fraction of time that's left out. This moment here lasted less than 1 second. There's 4 zeros before the 1. 1/100,000th of a second passed where the universe was going through an amazing change, and then the clock of the Bible begins. The clock of the Bible begins when matter formed out of energy. I think a famous scientist taught us that, right, in the last about 90 years ago, taught us that energy and matter can be the same. Who's that scientist? Albert Einstein, yeah. Before Einstein, it's exactly what I mentioned before that was written a long time ago, that when the light of the Bible came into the world, it was split into two parts. One was written down on Sinai, and one went into nature. And now nature's coming to let us understand that. How could it be that thousands of years ago these commentators said that the creation was energy, changed into matter, and the clock formed matter out of the energy? That's when the clock began. I don't know how they figured it out. They see it in the text. They're always digging it out of the text. But then we go on and we have these 6 days readings, looking forward from the beginning. So when I brought this fossil home, my youngest daughter, Hannah, she's now considerably older. When she was 7 years old, she said, Abba. Abba means, you know what Abba means? Yeah, daddy. It's a diminutive. Daddy says, Abba, a dinosaur fossil in our house? How can you ever, it's 150 million years old, Abba. Get it out of the house. The Bible says the world is 6,000 years old. How can we have a Bible? How can we have a dinosaur fossil in our house? Well, I threw it out of the house. No, that's not what I did. I said, you know, Hannah, maybe there's something subtle, something quiet going on. And if you look at Psalm 90 verse 4, it's something extraordinary is written. Psalm 90 verse 4 says, Ki elef shanim be'enecha, ki yom etmol ki avar, v'ashmorar balayla. For 1,000 years in your sight are like a day that passes, like yesterday, or like a watch in the night. 1,000 years in your sight are like a day that passes, like I'm watching you in the night. Psalm 90 verse 4. I said to Hannah, maybe time back here was different. Psalms talks about it already, that maybe there was something different in time. But then we go deeper. That was good for when Hannah was 7 years old. But then you get deeper and deeper into biblical studies, and we find that the ancient commentators come to the end of Genesis chapter, day 1. There was evening and morning, day 1. And they define the word day. It's in every major commentary. What's amazing is every major Hebrew commentary, with no exception, that defines the duration of the day says the same thing. It says the following. The text says yom. Yom is the Hebrew word for day, and it means day. That the days are 24 hours each. For those of you who might be into some ancient biblical commentary, these commentators are the Talmud, Rashi, and Nachmanides. Every major commentator, with no exception, says yom, day, 24 hours. Had the Bible wanted to say that the days were eras, there's enough Hebrew biblical words to say that. Because although the lexicon, the number of words, the number of different words in the Bible is fairly small, it's not like these huge dictionaries that go from wall to wall. Biblical Hebrew has several words for the passage of time, like yom, day, like tkufa, ona, moed, meaning indeterminate periods of time. But the Bible chose day, these commentators tell us, because it meant 24 hours each. But they continued, they contain all the ages of the universe. And that they learned from two sentences. These are the generations, Genesis chapter 2 verse 4. These are the generations of the heavens and the earth in the day that God made them. These are the generations of the heavens and the earth in the day that God made. Wait, what's going on here? How do I get generations out of a day? And then again in chapter 5. This is the book of the generations of Adam in the day that God created Adam. This is the book of the generations of Adam in the day that God created Adam. How do you get generations in a day? It's generations or it's a day. I mean, it's bad enough I got the sun on day 4. I mean, the Bible should get it right this time. How do you get generations in a day? And then it comes along Albert Einstein, the same person who taught us that energy and matter are two forms of the same thing, and discovered for the world that indeed generations and a day may pass in the same time. That viewing a day from a series of events from one perspective may have it appear as a day, and viewing it from another perspective may have it appear as generations, and they both pass in the same time. And I give you an example of the subtlety of this.